Hello YouTube, welcome to the garage. The saga of the vapor blaster continues. In my last video, one of them I talked about this thing had a warranty on it. As long as I didn't butcher it, I could trade it in on a higher end model and get 100% of my what I paid for this against a new machine. Well, the more I inspect this abomination, I'm going to void the warranty because I will never do business with these guys again. Let me explain. I don't know what clown designed this, but it must have been with just whatever they had laying around, because I have a hard time believing that there's an operation standard for building this thing the way this is put together, meaning that they would actually buy the parts to put this thing together the way it's put together. All right, I talked about how the hose from the regulator that I had to supply didn't come with a regulator. The hose from the regulator is a 1/4 inch hose, okay? And it comes around behind the machine. I want to make sure you can see what I'm talking about here. It comes around behind the machine from the regulator. And this other little hose here, this 1/4 inch hose here, this goes to the demand pump for the window rinse and the rinse nozzle inside the machine, okay? But it goes a 1/4 inch up to the valve up here. Sorry to jostle you. This valve up here, when you hit the foot switch, this is the valve that opens and supplies the air to the nozzle inside, okay? This is a 1/4 inch valve, and I haven't taken it apart yet, but it sure looks like, this is a one-way valve here, so water can't come back, and the slurry can't come back and go through the air system, which makes sense. Okay, all vapor blasters would have this, so I said, so the slurry can't come back this way, so it's a one-way valve. And I'll tell you, that sure looks like a 1/2 inch one-way valve, which means, 1/4 inch, and have to neck it up to 1/2 inch. Then they necked it back down to a 1/4 inch to go in this 1/4 inch elbow that goes through this this header fitting here. Then it goes to a 1/2 inch inside. I tell you, again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I am not an engineer, but I think I can do better than that. So if I use this machine, without changing anything, just to keep the warranty, I'd be running a crippled machine the entire time. And logic would dictate that if I got a quote-unquote better machine, an upgraded machine, it would have the same, I'd hate to call it engineering, but the same cluster, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to spend that kind of money on something that is so poorly engineered, in my humble opinion. So I'm going to fix this machine, and I'm going to make it work right. And as I said, I'm in the process of building another vapor blaster out of a Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet. And I'm going to do a little better than this. I'd mentioned the gentleman, Matt, from the How To Motorcycle Repair, the guy that's the engineer. He has plans, and I actually bought his plans. Those are the ones I'm using, to upgrade and build a vapor blaster out of a Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet. And some of the ideas off of that I'm using on this, and if it comes to pass that I need to build a bigger machine, I'm going to use Matt's plans. There are other people out there, and I'm sure they're just as good, but I've been following Matt for a long time, and his channels what actually got me involved in this. Initially, he had taken a Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet and was doing dry soda blasting with it, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And then he introduced water to make it wet soda blasting, and then it evolved into an actual just a regular vapor blaster to use other kinds of media. So those are ones I use because, as I said, I've been following for a long time, and I was impressed. There's other people with other plans, so if you decide you want to build your own, do your own due diligence. But I think that the HTMR plans are pretty amazing. So I'm going to go with a lot of ideas from that to fix this machine. Like, I've already got some parts. put a wiper motor on it instead of just a window rinse, and got a couple other things here. I figured out that Vapor Honing Technologies buys this from Automation Direct, same place I found the regulator. So guess what? Automation Direct has a 1/2 inch valve. So it's not like they're not available. And they do have a 1/2 inch one that looks just like this, but it's got a couple different outlets. This is just a single, in and out. That's all I need. I didn't buy anything fancy. It's just but it's a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to run 1/2 inch all the way from the regulator to the gun inside. So I've already got some other parts. Got the header, 1/2 inch header. We go through here to replace this. The whole thing is going to be replaced with 1/2 inch and some amenities. Put another light inside, instead of the windshield wiper, and just gonna fix this machine. I'm gonna do some testing, and I was gonna do some testing with it set up this way, but there would have been a waste of time, because I'm not going to leave the machine like this. I'm going to fix it, okay? And then I'm going to do some testing, and I'm going to compare the gun that's in it, which we've figured out is a Harbor Freight one that's jetted for a 10 horsepower compressor. I don't have that. I bought a 7.5 horsepower compressor, and I bought Matt's HTMR gun, and it's jetted for a 7.5 horsepower compressor. And I went through all the different permutations that he has, whatever, depending on what size compressor you have. But mine's jet. It's jet in the nozzle for 7.5 horsepower compressor. But I'm going to test this 10 horsepower gun once I get the machine fixed. Once I get this 1/2 inch all the way and get that taken care of, I'm going to test the 10 horsepower gun and compare it to the 7.5 horsepower gun, which is jetted for the compressor that I have, and see if there's any difference. And I'm guessing there will be, but I just want to kind of document it. And so other upgrades I'm going to do to this is I'd like to add heat to it. As far as, I live in South Carolina now, and it does get cold around here. It's been cold lately. This is November 30th of 2023 at the moment of this recording, and it got down freezing last night, around 31. It wasn't horribly cold, but still cold enough. And since we're dealing with water, I didn't want it to freeze. So what I'm using to keep this thing from freezing up is I'm using fish tank heaters. I've got two small 50-watt heaters for the closed loop system, the two tanks for the closed loop system. I've got a 50-watt fish tank heater in it, and then what I did for the vapor blaster itself, considerably more water, I've got a 200-watt fish tank heater in there to keep it from freezing. And last night it got down 31 degrees, and I checked this morning, and the small tanks are rated about 72 degrees. In this bigger tank in here, it was about 70. So no risk of freezing, and that's all I'm going for. But I do want to maybe add some heat to it for operation. This is to keep it from freezing, but I'm trying to figure out some way to maybe add heat to it, for better cleaning or something like that, depending on the process. And also in the wintertime, as you're using this thing, you're atomizing the water, and if the environment is cold, then the water is going to get cold, and you're going to be freezing to death while you're operating this, because you have the rubber gloves on, and even if you put a sweatshirt on or something like that, it'll get awful cold if you're standing here for a long time, for an extended period of time blasting. The water will keep getting colder and colder. So I want to try and figure out some way to get heat to it. And a couple ideas I had, maybe if someone else has some better idea, please, by all means, drop it in the comments. I was thinking about, one of the things I was thinking about doing was getting one of those hot tub heaters, the inline heater where the water goes through it. But I'm not sure if that'll work really well, because I'm going to be running that slurry through it that's got abrasive in it. And if the heating element is exposed in there, last thing I want to do is eventually wear a hole through that where it makes contact with the actual electric element inside. That probably wouldn't be a good idea. Then there's you can get some heating loops, you know, just a heating element that's a loop, drill a hole in the side of the, you know, so I can get you down where you can see it. Maybe drill a couple holes in here, put some you know, heating elements in there. You wouldn't want to put it low enough where it was in the abrasive. It'll get too hot and cause problems. You'd want it above where it's just in the water, you know, below the water level, but in the water. So a couple of ideas. Haven't decided yet. I said if anybody has any ideas about how to really add heat to this, so you know, it will, let's say, maybe clean better or something like that, and also just keep it more comfortable in the wintertime operating it, because I'm hoping to actually, you know, offer vapor blasting services and, you know, maybe make a couple bucks off of it. So if I'm standing in here running this thing for a couple hours, I really don't want to be spraying cold water all over myself for a couple hours. So if I can warm it up just for comfort, you know, it doesn't have to be blisteringly hot. It's not, I don't want to make steam and do any steam cleaning. I just want to keep it warm enough where it's comfortable to operate the machine, and, you know, maybe for, you know, a little better cleaning or something like that. That remains to be seen. But I am going to fix this machine and make it operate properly, and a couple more amenities like another light and, you know, the windshield wiper to put on it instead of just the window rinse. Then I'm going to do some testing, you know, with the gun that came with it, and then also the HTMR gun that's jetted for the compressor that I have. So I have most of the parts. The wiper motor is 12 volt, and I've got the 12 volt power supply. And I said I've got all the fittings to change this over to a 1/2 inch, and I've got the valve itself. So it won't take long, but once I get that squared away to where I want to get when I do the testing, I want to get, you know, real results with the machine working properly. Give each gun the best chance they have of working, you know, as best they can the way they're jetted, but I don't want to have the machine itself crippling, you know, both guns and skew the results. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that once it's all said and done, I'm going to be using the HTMR gun full time on this machine. But, you know, I'm just going to see what happens. Since I got the gun, I paid for it, I'm going to see what it does. And even if I did buy a 10 horsepower compressor, I'd just buy the bigger jet from Matt and put it in his gun, and down the road I'd go. So hopefully soon I'll have some video where we can test this thing. And again, you know, if you have any ideas of ways to improve this thing, since I'm already going to whack the warranty, and you know, but I'd appreciate any suggestions you might have. So until next time, you know the deal. See you in the next video.